Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hey there.
Guys, did you know next week is going to be episode 200 of the podcast Strikes Back? Is that crazy?
Madness.
Crazy, man.
Is that counting or not? Is that counting or not counting the ones we've lost?
We've only lost like 17 man. So, you know. No, we've only lost, how many have we lost? We've lost 3.
Like maybe 3 or 4.
3. Oh no, because I salvaged those and used the camera microphone. So they went up.
Okay.
So I think we've only lost 2.
2. And I'm actually kind of quite disappointed about one of the ones that we lost, which was the Golden Circle.
Oh, that was a bad one. Because then we forgot to put it in our worst of the year lists. Because I went through our list and then
I did not. I did not
maybe
forget
I didn't
that.
forget. I can't
Movie
remember.
deserves to be forgotten.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, guys. We've got a little bit of Will Smith to talk about this week. Plus some movie news and an awesome question of the week at the end of the episode. Stay tuned for that. But as always, we got to catch up on the films. Tell me, Benny, what have you been watching?
All right. So we had the pleasure last week of hanging out outside of work, the podcast.
Whoa.
I know, it was weird. It was crazy and
don't
scary.
do that.
I know.
Against
I know.
protocol.
I know. Thankfully, you threw me this bone this one time. We went to see Dragon Ball Super Broly, the new Dragon Ball film in cinemas, in a cinema.
Right there in the dark.
Yeah.
Projector going.
It's
People
pretty cool.
still go to the cinema?
Apparently, yeah. This is the 20th Dragon Ball movie, I think.
You tell me, bro.
And it's actually grossed over 100 million worldwide.
It's by far the most successful, right?
Of them, yeah. It grossed more than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Formerly the highest grossing Dragon Ball film.
Oh, gross.
I really enjoyed this. So this was essentially an attempt to take the formerly non-canon character Broly and introduce him to the actual timeline of the series.
One thing that I did not realize until after this movie, I was like, how the hell does this integrate with the other movies? And you're just like, it's not canon, bro.
They don't count.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That makes the last 2 hours make a lot more sense.
So what I really liked in this was how it's kind of like what they've done with Star Wars. They've kind of taken bits and pieces and cobbled it together
The
in a new
expanded
way.
universe sort of stuff, yeah.
But it's a new way and there's more depth to it, I feel. There was parts of the movie set in the 40 years prior to Super,
Yeah.
with Bardock and on Vegeta.
Planet Vegeta, yeah.
That stuff is so cool.
It's really cool world building.
I would have loved them to have just stayed in that timeline, you know?
Yeah.
But to be honest, I kind of zoned out in the last half hour. Like
Yeah.
the fight scene was incredible. It was really well animated, but it was just like...
Especially by Dragon Ball standards.
It was...
A cut above.
Oh, and it's a new guy as well. He's never directed any Dragon Ball before.
Cool.
And I think I felt that in this. I felt like it was a new interpretation. I felt like it had more to it. It seemed more layered and thought out or something.
Yeah, and it wasn't afraid to deviate from Toriyama's style visually, which was really effective, I thought.
Yeah, so this one is a must-see, I think, if you're into anime or at least Dragon Ball. Get in there.
Yeah.
I genuinely glazed over so much while you were talking about that.
Yeah, fair enough. If you're not a Dragon Ball fan, stay away from this like fucking crazy. I also watched Lego Movie, the first one, in preparation for the sequel that we have a review up for now.
So you mentioned that you hadn't seen that since the cinemas.
Which I saw 2 or 3 times at the cinemas, yeah.
Yeah. How did
Which was 2014, by the way.
It was a while back.
Crazy, right?
I thought that was 2016 or something. I didn't think it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go ahead. I was going to ask, like, how did it really kind of compare?
Yeah, so not as like riotously funny as those first couple of viewings in a cinema with an audience. No movie ever is, no comedy. Still as, beautiful and inventive as I remember. And I would say absolutely as great as I remember. Like just a fantastic film, even without the element of surprise that really, really took us all in 5 years ago. But yeah, still very, very good.
Do you even remember the first time you watched Lego Movie? Like I do remember that I was impressed and like kind of taken aback, but it just kind of seems the norm now. Like, oh, Lego Movie is a cut above. That's the standard.
I remember feeling kind of vindicated, just because I think I'm much more predisposed to animation than most people. I'm able to give it more of a shot. A lot of people just write it off immediately because it's got a cartoon, and that really bothers me. And I remember watching that first scene and realizing that this movie was actually going to be really good. You know, when like Lord Business strolls into to his cave and like fucking, and it's just really funny. I'm like,
well, Morgan Freeman in that like opening scene, it's just like it sets the tone for the rest of the film.
Yeah, and it doesn't let up. And I just remember sitting there and everyone around was me laughing, and I was laughing. And I'm like, fuck yes, this is so good. This is actually going to be great.
I remember being a huge fan of Lego, just in general, and not only just the like actually playing with Lego as a kid, which I did, but also just kind of looking at the company of Lego, and I've always been really impressed with their go-to-market strategy, and their like just they've branched out into everything. They've had movies, they've had games, video games, they've had toys, and they've grabbed IPs from all over the place, and I've always like that has just always impressed the absolute hell out of me. And so I think I felt a very similar thing to you, Ben, which was like this vindication, be like, fuck yeah, I knew Lego had it in them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where before the movie, I was so cynical on the idea of a Lego movie that I wrote it off completely.
I know I was on the Lord and Miller train already as well.
See, I wasn't on that train yet, I don't think. So
this was
when
after 21 Jump Street, though, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, they did have that in. Did they have that in the marketing? I can't even remember. They were plugging that. But yeah, I know what you mean, Connor. It's like it's always been sort of the Lego Movie was a great film, and
Aussie
no
made.
questions. Animal Logic, mate.
Yeah, on your boys.
And still on for number 2, which was cool to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I also checked out today and yesterday and the day before one that's been on my list for a long time, on the podcast list especially, A Cure for Wellness.
A Cure for Wellness.
Gore Verbinski's film starring Dane DeHaan.
It took me a while for that to click, and I was like, what? Cure for Wellness? I know that film. We've been trying to get you to watch that for ages.
This is the first film that Connor's trying to convince you to watch.
Because so that was one of the first films that we actually reviewed.
Yeah, and I missed out on that one. It finally hit Netflix, so I thought I'd check it out. So I mentioned it took me 3 days to watch because I kept falling asleep.
Nice.
It's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Which is
he's walking around a lot.
Not to do a full review of this movie, but that is too fucking long. That is ridiculous. Gore Verbinski, I'm a well and truly an above average fan of his. I'm that guy who really likes the first 3 Pirates movies. I love Mouse Hunt. I think that's a fucking like slapstick masterpiece.
It is.
And I even enjoyed The Lone Ranger in fits and spurts. But yeah, this movie I just thought was fucking dumb. I really thought it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But man, you need to cut an hour out of it, and that hour needs to be Dane DeHaan being a fucking idiot. And then I could kind of get on board with it.
I remember just really enjoying this movie.
I remember you guys really enjoying it.
So I think one of the things that
in the cinema as well, we didn't know, there was no audience reaction when we saw it, so we were going in completely blank.
We were going in completely blank, and we were seeing it in a cinema, very much kind of, you know, it's a very different experience when you sit in the cinema, because you're like, I'm here for 2.5 hours or whatever it is. You're kind of more invested. You've
100%,
paid for a ticket or not paid for a ticket.
It wasn't at the Ritz. We went to
we might have,
event cinemas.
We sat down and we're like I've invested my time. So when a movie kind of takes its time and kind of is a little bit more paced like A Cure for Wellness, I think you end up being a little bit more forgiving. Ironically, from memory, the piece that I didn't like was the one where it really sped up. Like towards the end, I thought, okay, this is a bit ridiculous. But
I thought the sound design as well was so good. Like that bit where he's walking around the steam room.
Well, the steam room, that constant like click.
Yeah, it's definitely a cinema thing.
A click of the his little
yes, the crutch.
Crutch, yeah.
So that's a shame. I'm actually not going to watch this ever again.
I think that's a good move, man. I think that's a really good move. There's so many questions. He like just keeps flipping and flopping in his ideas about what's actually happening. And I
love the eels and the life cycle and all that stuff. It's really fucked up and weird and cool.
I think Gore Verbinski finds eels a lot scarier than I do, because I was watching the movie and they kept popping up, and every scare was like eel related. I'm like, oh, there's more eels there. Okay, cool.
Eel.
Yeah, man. I don't. If we were doing a full review, I'd spend a lot of time singing the praises that I do think were actually in this film. But overall, I thought it was just real dumb and kind of stupid, and I did not enjoy it, unfortunately. And I also checked out the new Pixar shorts that came out. The one about the yarn in the workplace, and
I missed this.
And yeah, they're releasing some new shorts, kind of by animators just getting to do their own projects there, like little 10-minute things. One of them's about a ball of yarn who starts working at a company that's completely like white male centric and kind of the toxic atmosphere there, which is like either really bold of Pixar to be doing or really fucking stupid and tone deaf, because Pixar is like one of the most noted boys clubs in the industry, even without what happened last year with Lasseter. But I would, I'm going to assume it's the former, and they let a female animator create this really interesting story of, according to her, not working at Pixar. Apparently it's not about Pixar.
Yeah,
but,
sure, mate. Yeah.
But just working in the animation industry in general. But that was really cool. And I watched another one today, Smash and Grab, which was a lot less thematically rich, but still very, very cute and well done. And yeah, it's good to see Pixar kind of branching out from their more cash grabby cinema stuff.
How did you get access to these?
All on YouTube.
Okay, because Pixar has been notorious for not giving access to their shorts.
Yeah, this is like a new thing they're doing. Just
awesome.
Releasing short films.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Because I've always thought that was incredibly strange that they kept their shorts so close to the chest.
Well, they sell them on little collections on their own, and I think when you're making quality that high, because their shorts I think have an even higher hit rate than their films, especially nowadays, much higher.
I agree.
So yeah, I think why not?
They really know how to explore. Like they'll take a theme and an idea and just 5 minutes of pure just a gem, an absolute gem. Okay, I might go next.
Yeah.
I've watched 2 more episodes of Punisher.
So was that, did I say 2 or did you say 2?
I don't remember.
I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to watch 2 every week until the end of the year.
Together, I think we said that there's maybe 2 more and that was it.
All right, maybe if I just get to 5, I win. So
yeah, probably.
If you're not going to watch Punisher, I highly, highly recommend chuck on episode 3. That is like a standalone movie. I really, really rate it. It was really well done. Nice little enclosed story. Kind of like a firefight in a one enclosed area. So it was really, really well done. I enjoyed that thoroughly. And the end fight is just such a lull, but it's so good. I'm not going to ruin it though. So I'm still plugging away on that, boys. I'm going to get there. Don't you worry. Because Punisher's not coming back. And then I watched about 15 minutes of George R.R. Martin's Night Flyers. I didn't get through the episode. This one is kind of like the Event Horizon horror space TV show by Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin. It's a shame. Maybe I wasn't in the right frame of mind. But I was not clicking with this at all. And I kind of just went, okay, I'm not getting it right now. I'm just going to leave this and go watch something else. So chucked on the Ray Romano comedy special on Netflix, which is really good fun. I think they had a lot of fun with it. And he does 2 sets in 2 different locations.
Is it like his first show in 15 years or something?
He's the 30 years or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, something crazy.
It's his first stand-up, right?
Oh no, sorry. He started in these clubs 30 years ago. Yeah, I think you're right. 15 is correct. But yeah, it's literally starts with him walking on the street in New York, and then he goes down into this club, gives a show, and then the camera follows him in walking onto the street, gives another show. So it's really well presented. It's quite inventive, and he is just hilarious. His timing is on point. He's a true comedic genius. So I recommend it.
That's awesome. That was definitely the big sick, I'm sure, that gave him the wherewithal to come back a bit. Because like everyone kind of loved him in that. I haven't seen him in anything for ages.
I've got to watch that movie, man. I still haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, it's very much well worth watching. That's good for you.
That's me.
All right. I finally got on to watching the Fire documentary about the infamous Fire.
Which one?
So the big one on Netflix.
Netflix. Yep.
This was like, it's really interesting, like just genuinely interesting in it, and it covers a lot of areas in popular culture and things that are happening nowadays, and it spends a lot of time on looking at the role of influencers on media, looking at just I think a kind of horrific kind of insight into the world of entrepreneurship and business and kind of showing the dark side of that kind of gotta win mentality, which is really, really kind of it's awesome if it's put to the right kind of uses. But you can see how easily it goes wrong, and you just get someone with slightly less moral fiber than they should, and like just how easily that kind of
I
just
think
slips.
slightly is
Yeah.
is very fair.
Well, I think it's a really fine line. Like I because
I think there is a point. I think there's a point, and then there's a point in the documentary where something happens, and I was like, "Wow, this is really showing this guy's true character." Towards the end,
yeah.
and I was
Yeah,
like, "This
yeah,
guy
yeah.
is a piece of shit, man."
Yeah, but you get all these people that are just like making excuses, and like I wonder whether that's because he was just genuinely as good a salesman as everyone thinks, or if that kind of that line that gets crossed is that close. Like everyone's always just kind of teetering on what's acceptable and what's not, and we're kind of as bad as people let us be in those positions. So yeah, it's a really interesting and also frightening commentary of kind of, I guess, like entrepreneurship and just marketing as well. And
it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
like from that standpoint, just the kind of the disregard for the truth. Also, something very interesting is, and I was interested that this never came up, but the media company that is featured in this, which is Fuck Jerry,
Fuck Jerry.
Fuck Jerry, right? Like they are in huge amount of shit on their own.
Oh, well, tell me more.
They are being slammed left, right, and center for essentially plagiarism and stealing content of users. And
right.
So basically, they've built this empire. Like the main flagship being their Instagram account. They're basically being accused of just grabbing people's memes and content and everything.
They're open about it.
Well, yeah,
like they just take other
really
people's
are.
stuff, crop out names, and post it.
So something
okay.
I want to watch, and I haven't had a chance yet, is that there's apparently I think it maybe even a 6-minute documentary going around, just based on this. Like there's some footage of the main guy from Fuck Jerry.
Is this the Vic Berger
I believe
video
so.
they
Yeah,
put
yeah,
out?
yeah,
Vic
yeah.
Berger, who I'm sure you've seen some of his videos. He's fucking great. He just re-edits stuff. It's fantastic. But yeah, he did a little video just showing footage of like the main guy from Fuck Jerry, just openly admitting to their practices and how shitty they are.
Yeah.
And it luckily got picked up by a bunch of people, and Reddit got on it as well. So Fuck Jerry, really, like the hashtag Fuck Jerry started going crazy.
Yeah, but it's just
man, those
it's
guys.
really interesting that they're kind of front and center in this whole controversy, and like they have their own little controversy, and it kind of shows this really dark underbelly of that world and how I mean it's such a it's really, really fascinating.
I want to watch it again. I just think it's a really great flick.
I think, you know what? I honestly think that should be mandatory for marketing students.
Oh, yeah.
I think anyone in that industry should have to watch that. I mean,
Because that
really
is an incredible marketing campaign. Like
spectacular,
the
right?
orange panels, like
Oh.
genius. Like these guys are fucking geniuses, but they just didn't deliver on the promise.
Yeah.
It's all like the front end was amazing. The
But
back
I
end
think
was,
it's more than just not delivering on the promise. I think it's just the fact that they never intended. I think, that's the big question. Did they really think that they were going to pull it off? How deceitful was he?
Totally.
But yeah, look, anyone that hasn't seen it, just fucking
Get in
watch
there.
it. It is fascinating.
fire with
Ben,
a Y.
have you watched the other one?
No, I'm not going to watch it. But I would love you guys to watch the Hulu one and get back to me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm very interested in hearing about all this stuff in like 3 minutes
Yeah.
on the podcast. And there's
Condensed.
also a third one, a crowdfunded one. I think a Kickstarter one that's on the way. Fire spelled with a 3. It's openly acknowledging that it's the third Fire Festival
Oh, awesome.
documentary.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting too.
Wow, I didn't know there were so many.
Also, I've continued watching Justified. I'm ticking off all the series that I love that my girlfriend
Yeah,
hasn't seen.
I'm not sure if you started that last time we talked about it.
That you were about to launch into it.
I think I was about to launch
and
it too.
hell yeah, man. That is a show that convinced me that Timothy Oliphant isn't a plank of wood, because
Yep.
he kind of sucks in everything else, but he is so fucking good in that show.
He's like, I mean, he is so perfectly cast as that character, and he's got a sense of calm, cool, and collected that I don't think there's really anyone else that would have been able to pull that off, like bar Clint Eastwood or someone else in that kind
Also,
of
one of the
vein.
best ensemble casts I've ever seen in a show. Like
Oh.
Jeremy Davies, Walton Goggins, beloved character actor Margot Martindale, who is amazing.
Honestly, I don't know who any of those people are apart from Walter Goggins, but I'd be safe in saying that they're amazing because the entire regular cast of that series is spot on. They're whoever the captain is, is probably one of my favorite characters in TV.
I think the villains in season 3 or 4, there's a couple of guys, they fucking blew my mind. Anyway.
Anyways, so I'm jumping back into that. I think there's about 7 seasons. It's one of the only shows that I've seen that manages to be episodic, but also have arcs that fit season by season, and then also have a really nice arc that fits over the entire series. And when you watch it for the second time, you start to notice how beautifully it is woven together, because there's things that happen in that first episode that come and fit. They dovetail into that last episode so beautifully.
Nice.
Even little quotes that the characters say, and it works on so many levels. So yeah, I'm really excited to get stuck into that again.
Nice. I'll never watch that show.
I know you won't, because it's like 7 seasons. It's 7 seasons. You'd never make it.
You're a monster, Con. I don't know how you do it, bro. Honestly, it's insane. I respect it so much.
I have absolutely no control when it comes to watching TV. I don't have that off switch.
I know.
One thing I do want to mention that you had said, and I noticed this isn't in our weekly news, so I just get it in here. You said that we're never going to get another Punisher. On the back of that, we're actually going to never get another piece of Disney content, particularly in the Marvel universe, on Netflix. They've come out and said that they are no longer streaming anything.
Jessica Jones isn't.
We're not going to get any of the movies. We're not going to get
Captain Marvel's the first one not coming
right.
to...
Yes. I did hear that.
Apparently that's going to cost them $150 million for contractual obligation stuff. And the thing with the
it's just an opportunity
Netflix
cost,
Marvel characters is once they've canned them all, they will be able to use them again. Disney will be able to use them again after 2 years of not using them. So I think that's probably why they're all getting done now, because they do actually want to use them down the line, or want to potentially be able to.
It's interesting.
I'm not sure, man.
I wonder if Disney will start taking back all its properties from, because what they've really done with the TV side of the MCU is just giving it to anyone and everyone to do with what they will. And so far it seems to have been a really interesting way to go about it. But I'm very curious to see whether they'll start bringing that in-house, and maybe they're just looking for characters to add to that universe and to bring into phase 4.
Well, what if any of those, like the Loki series, the Scarlet Witch series, there's about 4 that have been announced already for
Bucky and
Disney Plus,
Falcon. Yeah.
So I think you're 100% right. I definitely think they're grabbing them back.
You know what? I would have ever believed if you told me, come back from the future and told me, apart from Aquaman being easily the most successful DC movie in 10 years, is that Daredevil got cancelled. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got renewed for 2 seasons in one go. It's madness. I love it.
We're in an alternate reality, bro.
Do you think that, though, that the key to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s success is that they maybe didn't fly too close to the sun?
No, the key is that they're on ABC, a Disney-owned network.
Oh, well, that's
the only key. Yeah, they were on the edge of getting cancelled every season up until
I feel like
just
the ratings were good?
kind of...
No, they were like every year it was like it was a coin flip if they get cancelled or not. So they were okay, and the budget's not too small, but yeah. Anyway, speaking of fucking insanity, let's get to the news, because our first story is doozy.
Yeah.
So first up,
DC, man.
as I just mentioned, $1 billion hit Aquaman is to receive a spin-off. Wait for it. The Trench, focusing on the eponymous fish creatures themselves and supposedly featuring no characters from the previous film. It'll be horror-tinged and, in quotes, much more modestly budgeted. So for anyone wondering, we're talking about the spiny fish creatures that attack the boat in one short scene in Aquaman.
A great scene.
They're in the trailer. Yeah, it's one of the best, probably the best scene in the film for me.
I think there's been feedback that everyone's loved that scene, and they've gone, all right. And honestly, I thought DC sorted your shit out. But you're doing it again. You're doing it again. This worked. Let's grab that and let's do a whole. How does this fit in? I'm not sure.
So don't worry about a Superman movie.
I will give you
The trench.
one pitch. I'll give you one pitch, and this is the only way that I see this working. Like, it's just in my mind. It's like it said, slightly more modestly budgeted. It's
Slightly. 90 million.
Yeah, it is focused. Like, it is like a horror film where it's just a fishing boat that strays too close to this trench.
Hell yeah.
How that fits into the overall like DCEU universe, I think it's completely bananas. Like why they're doing it like that is just, it's dumb, but that's the only way I see it actually working.
The premise of the film itself, I have no issue with. I love the idea of, say, like a cruise liner or something going through this area and having just a haunted mansion movie in the ocean with these awesomely designed creatures. I love it as like a smaller scale horror movie.
Love it.
But I do not think it can be overstated how insane this is that the DCEU is spinning this off, the first spin-off in the DCEU, really, before they make any other of these major heroes. Like this, it's unbelievable.
I think we are now in the stage where it's the DCEEU, extended universe.
Yeah. We're through the looking glass.
If you ever needed more evidence that DC was one of the most reactive fucking production companies out there. Like, I mean, this is it.
Yeah. This is it on a gold platter, served up for your piping hot.
People like something. Let's fucking give them more of that.
It's an Onion article.
This, expand to 90 minutes.
It genuinely is.
No, wait, it's several things they've done have been Onion articles. This is like an Onion spin-off website article. Like, this is even more insane because the Onion's generally kind of believable, as crazy as it is.
Yeah, there's always that kind of moment where you're looking at the publication and be like, oh, it's the Onion. Okay.
Anyway, let's put that all to bed and talk about the actual idea of this as a spin-off because I kind of love it. Say Titanic with monsters. I'm so in.
I'm in, but where are they going to bring in the DCEU? How are they going to bring it in?
I hope they don't.
I would love that they don't. I would love that they don't.
That's the only way that this works.
Why? Okay, I know they want to ride the coattails of Aquaman. I know, if Warner Brothers just announce, hey, we're doing a fishing boat thing where these monsters, it doesn't have the punch, it doesn't have the PR spin, it doesn't have the reach.
How do you in a trailer? How do you connect this to Aquaman where there's no connection?
I understand,
but that's the thing, you
it's
can't. And again, concept wise, yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think that like a cool little horror flick that doesn't mention Aquaman, that doesn't have anything to do, that doesn't resists making reference to the larger DCEU and only deals with the little minions in the trench as, these little monsters. That concept is, I was going to say solid. It's doable. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the DCEU can pull that off, just even from a marketing standpoint. Like, how do you market that? How do you present that to the overall DCEU and just be like, here's a movie that has nothing to do with the DCEU apart from some characters that you saw in a different.
Yes.
And is it directed by James Wan?
It's very convoluted.
Okay, how about
very strange.
How about? And this is not something they're going to do because they're already doing something else in this direction. But so there's a cruise liner out in international waters with a huge number of criminal guys on there, rich scumbags. It's just full of all these crime families and minor supervillain people. And they're having an auction or something. There's something really important, a super weapon on there. So Amanda Waller gets a new group of the Suicide Squad. They have to go in there and get this fucking thing out of there. And meanwhile, they hit troubled waters and it turns into a monster movie.
That's pretty cool.
Suicide Squad spin-off, Aquaman spin-off. I think that I'd watch that in a second.
Get
this guy a job.
That is a DCEU
WB.
film. That's a DCEU, and that's not what they're suggesting. And it's just
but
using.
No, they're just saying it's an Aquaman spin-off. They haven't. We don't really have any more information on this.
Well, apart from that, it's focusing on the fish creatures.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Even if
I
wrote
that.
Even if they pair it back to be even if there's some little super villain or there's some little it feels like it's a little bit of the DCEU, just a tiny bit sprinkled in there.
I think that they need to avoid that.
I don't want Superman rocking up.
Yeah.
But just to make it feel like we're in some kind of Because otherwise, I feel like this exercise is really redundant, and the only reason why they're doing this is to leverage the Aquaman
But
success.
see, this is why
Wrongheadedly.
This is why I'm so concerned, is because I think the only way this works is if they avoid doing that. If they avoid sprinkling the DCEU in there, because then it's just going to feel wrong.
So then, how does it? And then how does it integrate?
The question is like the answer is it's not. This isn't like I'll probably just call it now. This is not going to work.
Yeah, well,
Either way they go, it's going to be a
work.
disaster.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
I like my idea.
Sorry?
I like my idea.
No, so do I. But like, that's not what is being suggested by this, and it'll never happen.
Well, not necessarily. No characters from the previous film.
From Aquaman. There's no main characters from Aquaman supposedly will be in this. So that's all we know about this.
Maybe I was just, when I read the article, maybe I was just reading it wrong, but it felt like this was really just going to be focused on the trench.
Yeah, it's in so early stages of development.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
like, look, they may come out and say like, yeah, this is going to be kind of focused on this, that, and the other thing. But
so yeah, I'd love to see this as just its own little horror movie. If they were to really DC it, I think that would be a good way to go about it. Anyway.
Just connect it like a little something, or just do something so I know that you're not just doing this for money, which I know you're doing it for. So.
But
give me a reasonable avenue to not believe that. Like I can fool myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. James Wan did tweet out. He said when we were developing Aquaman, and with these characters, he did want to explore that a bit more. So for whatever that's worth.
Well, it's a great scene. It's
so
one of the
cool.
best scenes in the movie. So.
And I remember, even in the review, I said it turns into a different movie in that scene, and I liked that movie. So
me too.
Who knows? Maybe we could get lucky. Anyway, next up, we get the first official look, at the new Avengers Endgame costumes.
So,
link, please.
The really confusing thing for me was the fact that this was an official look, which looks like it's been photoshopped by a 9-year-old.
My God, does it what?
This one.
It's fucking bizarre because like when you like when it says official look at like the costumes, I was like, oh, we've done a whoopsie, and we've taken essentially an Onion article or like a fake article, and we've reported on it. That was my first.
Black Widow in particular just does not fit in there at all.
It's got that sort of like lunchbox kind of feel.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
The IP that's kind of just shat out, and
it's really bad. It is really bad.
And as much as I love Clint Barton, I'm still not sure I'm on board with that haircut. I don't know what they're going with.
It's so
well, that haircut
sassy.
in particular looks,
but it's just particularly given what we all assume has happened to the character, which is a horrible tragedy.
Yeah, the first thing he does is
then he's like, I need to get my edgy haircut.
Yeah.
It's very Spider-Man 3.
It very much is, but the first thing I thought about this, and the second thing I thought was clearly happened here is they're so busy, like they have so many hands on deck trying to get this things finished, trying to make sure that it's polished, all that kind of jazz, that they just like simply do not have anyone in Hollywood that is able to do a decent Photoshop job or like anything. Like
they're all busy.
They've just taken anyone
like
with an inch of talent.
Intern isn't available.
Like they're just like fucking. You're working here. Like you're doing fucking Thanos.
Someone's like doing it on their phone while they're getting coffee.
Yeah. It's like, oh fuck, we need some marketing with some costumes and shit. Yeah, we'll just just Photoshop some. I've got a cousin or like a little nephew that can do it.
Yeah.
So as to the picture itself, Thor and Captain America look as we've seen them before, essentially. Iron Man has a new suit, which is cool. I think it's like the Mark 80 something, which is nuts.
Mark 80.
Hawkeye we've seen plenty of. Black Widow has red hair again, and it's a bit longer, so that might lead into the time jump that we've all been assuming. Hulk, though, is the big one that we've not really seen before. He's got a full-on costume in his nice Hulk purple. And he looks a lot less like a rage monster right here. So a lot of people are...
He actually looks more like Bruce Banner.
He looks like Ruffalo, yeah. So a lot of people are thinking this might be the MCU's version of Professor Hulk, which is body of the Hulk, mind of Bruce Banner.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, not just an angry toddler.
God, this is a terrible poster.
Or it could just be, as we've seen in Ragnarok, the longer he stayed the Hulk, the more he kind of mentally aged. So maybe there's a bit more of that. But either way, pretty cool.
That's an interesting theory. I gotta say, I'm really into Captain America's shoulder pad.
Yeah.
That hexagon there. That's just a cool detail that gives it a bit more of a techie like the armor vibe rather than just sort of a vest.
And
sort
also,
of,
it's got the Avengers logo on it, which he did not have in the last film.
Yes.
Which is...
Has your
I
internet-
noticed that as well.
Has your
I
internet just shit
noticed that.
itself?
I think my internet has just totally
I'm just
shat
trying to,
itself.
trying to look at the picture. I'm like, what is
I
happening
know,
here?
same. Like, give me your phone, give me your laptop.
Yeah, someone.
So yeah, shat the bed.
And no,
also-
but yeah, look, I just think that this is it's so disheartening.
This is a poor job in terms of a press release, but
Yeah, very
read
weird.
between the lines. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they hoped it didn't get this much press, but because it was something in connection with a competition or something.
Okay.
So yeah, weird that I came out first.
This movie's rumored to be 3 hours long.
The cut at the moment is 3 hours long. Yeah,
And they said that the big kind of clickbaity title that's been going around is "No one went to the toilet in the entire 3 hour
in the
screening."
test screenings, yeah, which is a good sign.
It genuinely is, and the early they're not really reviews, but the early word out is that like you've never seen anything like this. Like it's just, which to be honest, I knew it was clickbaity, but when I saw it, I got fucking excited.
Yeah,
I
I just
was-
got a little bit excited there. Like,
I just
Ever?
weeded
Anything?
A little bit. Yeah.
I'm gonna be so
Scene?
disappointed. I'm gonna be so disappointed if they cut a minute out of this movie. There's so many people who are like, "Oh, 3 hours is an ungodly amount of time." I'm like, "Fuck off, man!"
Yeah,
movies
like-
since the 30s have been running 3-4 hours. Like this is
How long
worth
was
it.
Gone with the Wind? Like fuck.
Hey, Jesus Christ! Like this movie deserves that amount of time, and
Totally.
I would have watched a 5-hour cut of Infinity War. So
I still
bring
remember
it
what
on.
like, everyone kind of complains about how long the Lord of the Rings movie are, and I'm Lord of the Rings movies were, and I can still remember being in the cinemas every single time I watched one of those movies for the first time, and just thinking, I hope there's another 15 minutes. I hope there's another half an hour.
Yeah, I love
did
those
not think
movies.
that in the third movie. Definitely.
I've never been so happy in my life. Everyone complains about the 9 endings. I was the happiest boy on the planet. I didn't want that to end. Like for me, that was disastrous. I was like, this is the last Lord of the Rings movie I'll ever get.
Just keep going, baby.
Yeah. And every time they open back up on another scene, I was like, fuck yeah!
What do you guys think about the prospect or possibility of there being an intermission? Because there are rumors flying around. I'm quickly going to say that I don't think there's any way they're going to do that because we all jump out of the cinema halfway through, start chatting. Oh my God, how about this? How about that? Somebody else is going to overhear it. I don't think they're going to allow
Start chatting,
that
start
kind of thing.
tweeting.
Yeah, I don't think, or purely on that, I don't think it's going to happen.
Having said that, if there's anyone that I would have trusted or that I would trust to pull something like that off, just something you would never really see coming. I
Part
just
of a twist in the film.
Yeah, I feel like they could integrate it into like something in the film, like give you a break.
It's actually 4 movies, and it's like Endgame ends, and it's like, this is part 4.
Yeah,
There was
I don't know.
actually quarters.
Hour and 20 minutes. So this is actually the
Holy
end.
fuck, Endgame 2.
Oh, fuck. I would kind of be excited.
Yeah.
about that. It's like, there's more.
Yes, I can buy 2 Blu-rays now.
We have something to talk about on the podcast. Anyway, that's enough for Endgame. I think we have some more Marvel news here. According to Chris Pratt, Marvel will be using James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 script after all, and it is off the chain.
So
There is no chain.
a bit of a side note. I know that we've talked about this off the podcast, but I don't think we mentioned this on the podcast. Are we still on the Chris Pratt train in general? Because I think I've fallen off a little
I'm
bit.
pretty off it, man.
I've been sour on him since Jurassic World when his kind of funny, cocky shtick turned into actual cocky shtick. And I'm like, oh, you're starting to believe your own hype, man.
Yeah, when he started,
feels like that,
when he
doesn't
was like hitting nails into the roof at the beginning of Jurassic World, I was like, "You're dead to me."
Yeah, each one of those was another like nail
Yeah.
into
In
my
his
back.
own
I
coffin.
don't like it. Yeah, I
totally know what you
really
mean.
soured on that because it was really. I think that he hit a point where everyone was so on board when he came out in Guardians of the Galaxy and he's ripped and
Yeah.
like he was that funny, chubby character
Yeah, he
in
got
Parks and
ripped,
Rec,
yeah.
and everyone's like, how great is this? We've got the funny character, and now he's also kind of being the action star. Everyone absolutely loved that.
Then he got hot and funny and left his wife, and everyone was like, oh, I don't know how to feel about
it
this
was just
anymore.
like everything that happened, like just kind of felt like a little bit, and you're like, oh, but that's fine. He's Chris Pratt. He's still that funny guy, like sweet. And it just kept happening, and like he's been slammed by what's the Juno
Ellen Page,
I just saw
lately
that.
for that Hillsong
Yeah.
shit, and like just everything seems to be going against him
Stacking
lately.
up.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah, well,
why is this like?
Like, you know when you hear like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, they broke up. Like, I don't give a shit, man. But that one, Chris Pratt and
Anna
Faris, that I was like a little bit Devo on that
But
one.
it's the general image. Like you always
They were
got the
cute.
sense that Brad Pitt was a bit of a playboy. The same thing with
Totally.
not with
Totally.
Jennifer Aniston, and everyone felt really bad for Jennifer Aniston.
This one just seemed to be like a little bit more like next door neighbors. Like they seem
it
more
was a
relatable.
genuine, like it was lovely to see people that there's some couples and I try not to get sucked into that hype because it's it's
Totally.
fucking Hollywood and all that, but sometimes it gets you. Like it'd be like if you found out that Hugh Jackman was really an asshole and like
Too much to bear.
there's some things that you just like don't
What
fucking take
is
this
there
away
in
from
this
me.
world left for me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways.
So that was pretty. I was pretty Devo about that. And then he married Schwarzenegger's daughter after like 6 months, and I was like,
it's just a bit gross.
"Oh, Chris, come on, man, dial it back a little bit, man. It's all good."
But having said that, so this is actually about James Gunn and his script being
James Gunn for
used.
president.
Which is, it's so ironic that like Chris Pratt hasn't been fired or anything like that. He's getting a lot of negative press. James Gunn was fired for like shitty tweets, albeit 10
he's
years
a
ago,
hero.
and he's a fucking hero. And like, okay.
And yeah, it's funny. This whole like as if this story, this James Gunn firing wasn't ridiculous enough. Now it's just like, oh no, we're still using his script. It's like, what a ridiculous fucking move that all was.
It's a bizarre tale, and it's I can't believe how it's all ended up. Like, it completely vilified the guy. Tweets from 10 years ago, booted him off this franchise which he's helped to build, and then they're like, oh, the PR sways in our favor by using it. We're going to use it. I feel like it's very, I don't know. It seems to come from a very bad place. All this whole Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I'm not really that pumped for it. So, we'll see if Batista's back.
Yeah.
That's the linchpin on this thing.
And to be honest, when I said that before, when we were talking about Endgame, and I said that it's meant to be like nothing like you've ever seen, it's a fairly buzzword type thing to say, but it got you excited, right? When someone uses the phrase "off the chain,"
Especially Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt in that context, you're like,
Leave me alone. I'm
just
trying to
such
finish my salad,
yeah,
man.
I get the like I just don't get that same kind of excited feeling I get with when I hear about Endgame being like nothing you've ever seen before. I'm just like, are we still using that phrase?
It's just like Tony Hawk 2.
Yes,
Like, what?
that's
It's
all
off
I'm
the
thinking.
chain,
It's like,
cowabunga, dude.
It's like someone that's just found out they're cool and they're just trying to be like, I know how to do this.
This is 1993, baby.
He was questioned further about moving ahead without James Gunn, and it was so rote what he said. He was just like, I love James Gunn. I'm loyal to him. But we're gonna get this done because I think that's what the Guardians are about, is coming together and getting it done. And I'm like, okay, man.
What a nothing
Cool.
statement.
Yeah.
As I said, leave us alone, Chris.
Yeah.
Leave
It's
us
funny. It's
alone.
funny how like opinions are swayed by little things, and like just there's no way you could be able to predict.
And if
this
you
shit.
met him and hung out with him for an hour, you'd be
probably-
like, Chris Pratt's the man.
yeah,
You know, like-
probably. He's probably wildly charming. It's the same shit as
he'd
like
grab
Tom
your
Cruise.
shoulder and he'd rub your hand. You'd be like, "You'll be
Yeah.
here someday, son. You'll get
I don't know.
there."
Of all the Marvel stars, I feel like he'd be the most easy to dislike in person.
Probably, you're probably right.
Give me
You don't think you could find
give me
one
Captain
other?
America.
Oh, surely there'd be at least
All
one.
like Disney has done such an amazing job. Well, Disney, Marvel, Paramount, everyone, over the years of curating a huge group of actors and huge stars who have not had any horrible things come out about them in the past couple of years, which is so impressive
Oh, right.
in these times.
They must
Like,
put
that's
them
amazing.
through like some fucking
Especially
initiation
considering
shit.
Robert Downey Jr. is the head of it.
Yeah.
Like he's got
But
plenty
see,
of shit in his past.
He did something that a lot of these stars didn't do, which is he got this is not his doing really, but he got caught and he paid the price for the shitty things he did, right? And the
Long
public was
time
like,
ago as well.
"Fuck you!" And then he went down and he came back up, and that's lovely. We all love a redemption story like that. What happened to a lot of these stars is shit's coming out about them, and we're watching them fall, and it's just like. It's a completely different dynamic. Like we love looking at people that have had shitty things. Like look at Mark Wahlberg. Like he's already admitted, like I was a shitty person back then, but I'm better now. I reckon he probably is a bit of a dick in real life.
Oh, definitely.
But like
He's a
everyone's
bad
just
man.
like, oh, he admitted it, so we're all
Marky
good.
Mark. Come on.
Oh, he's a bad bloke, man. He blinded a Vietnamese dude. He punched him in the head.
Oh yeah, I heard about that
Fucked up,
story.
man. He's
Yeah.
a bad dude.
Yeah.
But if you admit it, you're fucking golden.
But all these Disney guys, they're as good of actors, well, even better than actors. They're like PR people. They're
for
fucking
sure.
brilliant. It's
Other than
such a
Ruffalo,
good job.
toss him out.
old
what do you reckon-
old Uncle Ruffalo.
Do you reckon that like casting nowadays is as much like just vetting
it's
someone?
more vetting.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
Disney's point of view,
I'm sure you can act and all that, but more importantly,
they want stars, not actors.
have you assaulted
Yes,
anyone lately?
Yeah.
that is exactly it, dude.
Yeah.
Get Ronda Rousey in there.
Anyway, next up.
What?
It's just a classic case of a star, not an actor. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
My God, no. Next up, Paramount has pulled the plug on David Fincher's World War Z 2.
That's right. Yeah.
We've been talking about this story for like a year and a half.
I actually thought it was coming, man.
There was a lot of
I like the last couple of weeks. There's been a little bit of hope coming through.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like this been in development since like 2010. The first one came out or something. Like
Didn't
it's
we
going to
recently
happen.
talk
David
about-
Fincher's going to do his first major, really big, juicy blockbuster.
Since Alien 3.
And now it's all falling apart.
Didn't we talk like very recently about like, oh, they're going to start production
3 weeks
soon?
ago,
Like,
3 or 4 weeks ago, totally.
So and what really surprised me is that looking at a lot of the responses, there was a lot of people being like very glad that this got canned, but like, I don't want Fincher doing World War Z. What a shit, all that kind of stuff. And I was
I
like,
want him to do something though. It's been so
yeah,
long.
like, A, I want him to do something. And
2013
B,
since Gone Girl.
Oh my
right.
God.
I
Yeah.
feel like that this would have been a good project for him. I would have loved to see him tackle this kind of zombie film. Like I just feel like it's ripe for something that David Fincher could do.
There's no way in hell he would have made a movie that
Sucked.
the first one was required viewing.
No way.
Like you could absolutely come into this on its own.
And he has
For
such
sure.
good taste. I feel like there's no way he would put out a bad product. Like he would have done something really, really different and Finchery and awesome and a zombie film. And that I'm really upset this isn't happening.
Hopefully, though, he's got a taste for genre and he's going to do something cool next. Because
If he did sci-fi, man, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
what ideas would he bring to that?
oof.
I mean, he doesn't write scripts, so maybe none.
He's
But once he gets a script,
he's one of the best out there. So
Yeah.
I'm very keen for whatever he is going to do
6
next.
years since Gone Girl. Come on, Mr. Fincher, please.
Gone
I'm
Girl
hungry.
2. But we can put a pin in this one finally after all the back and forth on it.
Yeah, at least there's some like finality to it.
Closure.
We should have a little like board
Yeah.
that says like development hell movies. And-
I mean, it would be
Goodbye.
kind of appropriate if this
Goodbye.
movie came back to life, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a zombie film. And finally, IGN reports that the upcoming Robo Showdown, directed by Tim Miller, will be titled Terminator Dark Fate.
Robo Showdown, dude. What did you do with these notes?
Yeah.
Thanks, George. So unlike Genesis, this is Dark Fate spelled as you would expect it to be spelled.
Faytee.
Faytey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So yeah, this is the new Terminator 3, but actually Terminator 6.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
These timelines are getting so confusing, which is appropriate, I guess, for a time travel series. And the long-awaited return of Sarah Connor. Does anyone
Movie coming out.
Does anyone have anything to
soon.
say about Terminator?
No, I just think this to me, like the press release and whatnot, I felt as though they really wanted to make some impact with this, and I thought that this title is pretty flaccid. It's sort of Dark Fate. It's like this could apply to anything, man.
Judgment Day was a cool title.
Judgment Day
Dark
was
Fate.
awesome. At least Genesis, I don't know, it's memorable. It's about, I can give it that, you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
say Dark Fate is memorable. I hope the movie's more memorable than the title, but
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
Robo Showdown.
Let's do a
Yeah.
Genesis review when this one's coming
Please, I'm never
Yes.
fucking watching Genesis. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No,
You'll
no,
have
no,
to,
let's do it. Let's
you
do it.
will
Fuck
literally
it.
have to tie me down and Clockwork Orange.
we'll
me.
do that. We'll film that.
Yeah,
That would go
exactly.
crazy.
We will literally
That will
tie you
be.
down.
I think the podcast will go off if we do that. Like this will
Just watch George crying for an hour.
clickbait headline.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Trailer time.
Time.
What do we got, Connor?
First and most memorable out of all the trailers, Aladdin.
Oh, Aladdin.
I will say that this The reaction to this trailer has been spectacular. It's more interesting than the actual trailer itself. The memes, the conversations. I literally, after this came out, I've got a group chat with a couple friends, and it was completely taken over with just memes and just like Aladdin puns. We changed all the nicknames to like different like Aladdin characters. It just got fucking wild. And it just like the amount of the kind of reaction, the visceral reaction from fans and the general kind of culture around Aladdin has been like, I think this is probably the most reaction out of any of these Disney live action ones that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And not good reaction, by the way.
Shout out to everyone that commented on our post as well. There were some really good GIFs in there. The talking point. Okay, so listen, when this started, I got pissed, man. I got so angry because the Arabian Nights theme comes in and I'm like, nah. Disney, that's not you. That's not your song to use. Like that's my song.
It literally is their song to use.
But it just felt like so insincere, and this whole thing has this like veil of nothingness to it. I can't really. I'm struggling to engage with this. And then the Will Smith Genie at the end. Like I saw a Facebook video today. It's above is the original, the 1994 Aladdin when Genie first comes out, and then you get the one from the trailer. Maybe the full movie will be more flamboyant or something, but they don't even compare to each other.
But I think, all right, so I will say, and
they're different. They're going for a different thing.
They have to be, yeah.
They have to be, but there is something really lacking from this.
So no, look, I will give credit where credit is due. In terms of voice and the feel of the Genie, I think Will Smith is a good choice. I think he will bring a certain kind of levity to that role that isn't Robin Williams.
They had to cast one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
So yes, he's one of a very short list of people who could have potentially fulfilled that role.
But I also think that, just based on the general kind of vibe of Will Smith, I think this is completely acceptable to have him as
totally.
Where I really kind of
So I'm not complaining about Will Smith. I'm complaining about the design, the approach. I think the aesthetic look of him. Maybe it could get by, but the execution is terrible. He's got the Iron Man head.
Yeah.
It's floating around.
My major gripe is the execution, because there's some serious uncanny valley going on, where it's like
it's meme worthy.
It's so weird. Like if you were to just make a still of that, I'm not saying it's the worst. I'm not saying it's great and all that thing, but watching it in motion really, really puts me off. Like that's what kind of got me on this trailer.
And that's really bad, because normally you see these stills, like costume stills, and you're like, fuck, that doesn't look very good. And you see it in the movie, you're like, wow, that kind of works.
Yeah.
This one, you see the stills and they're like, okay, that's Will Smith as a Genie. That kind of works. And then you see the motion, it's not right.
Yeah. It's really uncanny valley. Like it's something.
Especially when he moves his head down at the end. It just really fucks up there. I don't like that at all.
Listen, they've got a lot more development time on this film.
Yeah.
This is like 5
Hopefully
seconds of footage.
Down,
Maybe there's more to this, but my gut instinct says I am not going to enjoy this. And I am bringing so much baggage to this. I've talked about it many times on the podcast. So,
but do you know what
I wear it on my sleeve.
So that's the most noticeable. That's the most, kind of everyone's talking about.
It's far from the only complaint.
And to be honest, there's a far more, what I think should be visceral and egregious thing that they have done. They have fucking ruined Jafar. Who the absolute fuck did they get to play him?
Yeah, they haven't ruined him. They've just made him a Days of Our Lives actor.
Yeah, what the fuck? They found a 12-year-old boy and slapped a fake beard on him.
Get the lamp.
Get the lamp. What the fuck?
He's supposed to be like this really regal, tall, imposing, just a dark figure, and in this one he just looks like a little bitch.
And
seriously,
also with that scene, he's just dressed as Jafar. He's not disguised as like the creepy old man in the original.
Is Aladdin taller than Jafar in this? I swear to God, it felt like that.
It feels like it looks like in this his hat is actually the only thing that gives him any height. Like it's all wrong. It's so wrong. Like there's something very specific about the voice of Jafar and it just being cutting. Like the whole point of the character is that he's mesmeric.
Mesmerizing.
Mesmeric?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mesmeric. And just like, you know, they've not done it. Like they've completely fucked it up. And a lot of people have said that a great person to have played it would have been someone like Ben Kingsley.
Oh,
is
yeah.
a name that's been thrown into the hat a lot, which I would have been on board with.
Totally.
If I could see like Jeremy Irons doing it. What was the he's dead now, but the guy from the Chancellor in V for Vendetta, what's his name?
Oh,
Old British actor.
John
Hurt.
John Hurt.
Yeah, John Hurt. Like you need someone with that kind of voice.
You
that
literally
kind of,
chose the 3 generic old dudes in every movie.
Yep.
John Hurt, Ben Kingsley, and the other bloke.
and the other bloke. I think I only chose 2, but I mean, like there are reasons that they're
I think the
iconic.
reaction to a white guy playing Jafar would have been worse
Yeah,
than
yeah,
the
yeah,
current
yeah.
reaction.
No, I think Ben
in the back of
Kingsley-
my head, I was like, yeah, you can't have that. But like, I mean, just in terms of like,
But
just,
cast someone like that.
Yeah,
More like
yeah.
that than this guy.
yeah, exactly. And I think Ben
Like the
Kingsley,
CW version.
You know what?
of
I
the-
think you need to cast younger. I think you could even get a Javier Bardem or something in there. You know, like it needs to be like Jafar's not like an
Nah.
old man. He needs to be sort of in his maybe 50s.
also, I think there's something
60s.
kind of like if you're going to go on to the whole, don't cast a white guy. I think there's something somewhat sinister or insidious about like getting a Mexican as
As a
someone
Middle
from the Middle
Eastern.
East. Just be
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
brown. It
Yeah.
doesn't make a
Yeah.
difference. Like that
Yeah.
just seems terrible.
It's the first thing that kind of came to my head. But you know, I don't think you go old man. I think Jafar's not an old man. But
I
listen, they
always got
didn't
the sense
nail
that
it.
he's a
They
little
did
bit
not
older.
nail
That's
it.
what was
He's
so
a little
creepy
bit
about
older.
him going after Jasmine. He's like, you're too old. You're too like, ugh.
Yeah, listen, we've got different opinions here, but I just don't think they've nailed it on this one.
Definitely not in the trailer. I'm willing to watch more because
Yeah.
Disney, you know, of all of their faults, especially in these movies, casting isn't generally one of them. So I would like to see how this works in the actual film. Because, I mean, Jasmine and Aladdin not having any lines seem well cast, possibly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's just all you have to go off is visuals. and
What's
they're-
in- well,
they're
what's
I
her
want
name
some
playing?
nipples. I
good-looking
want some.
people.
I want some Aladdin nipples, man.
What's it?
I'm
Yeah.
angry.
Absolutely.
I'm
What's
really
her
angry.
name playing Jasmine? I really liked in Power Rangers. So I think she's a good choice, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I'm not vibing it.
This trailer has caused endless amounts of controversy. Not for anything, political, just because it was shit.
That's funny, actually, that all the controversy about this Aladdin
Do you
movie,
reckon
none of it has
that's
been
what,
political.
that was their main? They've committed to doing Aladdin, and then they're like, "What the fuck have
didn't
we
even
just
think
done?"
about that.
Like this is a minefield of things that we could do wrong. Let's just make a shit film
They're,
so no one
they're
notices.
probably celebrating, actually.
Yeah.
They're like, we did it!
They're having like streamers in the
We
office.
didn't offend anyone.
Yeah.
We just made something bad.
The only color they're complaining about is the genies.
Oh,
God, yeah.
That's the
I didn't even
benchmark.
think about that. Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Speaking of things that are just cultural landmines, our next trailer is Shaft.
Shaft, the third
I didn't
third
see
Shaft, also called Shaft.
Yeah. I had no idea this was even happening. Like it just
Nobody did.
kind of seemed to come out of fucking nowhere. And oddly enough, I'm really glad it did.
Have either of you seen either of the previous
No,
Shafts?
I know
No.
like the cultural reference to Shaft, but
From
like,
The Simpsons. Like we know everything.
well, Simpsons, but like he's also just like it's almost like Star Wars in that sense that.
Shaft, Star Wars.
Well, no,
you
no,
know.
I just mean like as
You
an
walk into a
example-
toy store and there's like Star Wars on one wall, Shaft on
beating
the
a
other
woman.
side.
Shaft Wars on the other. Yeah.
No, I think that it's just in the sense that you know about it. You like
Yeah, just
even if you've
cultural
never
osmosis.
seen
It's
it.
on
Yeah.
the fringes, yeah.
And
It's
I
out
always,
there.
I always remember that joke that Donald Glover does about like not Shaft. Anyways,
There's some good gags in this,
man.
man. Like that
Yeah.
final gag where he's trying to break through the window. I was
Fucking funny.
really getting a kick out of that.
It's cute. And I love the idea that a franchise spread over 3 films over decades and decades
Yeah.
has kept this one continuity where Sam Jackson's character was related to Richard Roundtree's character, and now this new kid's related to Sam Jackson's character, and they're all in this one.
So
yeah.
I knew Roundtree did like the original Shaft, But I didn't know there was a second Shaft. Was that Sam Jackson?
Yeah, 2001.
I used to see that at the video store all the
Yeah,
time.
they're like blue,
Yeah,
grayish
and
sort of
it
cover.
almost
yeah.
looks like the Matrix or something.
Yeah. So, and kind of moving on from that, I think the previous two, definitely the Sam Jackson one, were definitely more serious than this film.
This is a lot more tongue in cheek.
yeah.
I think you have to be. Like, if you're going to take a property like Shaft and you're going to put it into the modern day, there's, like I said, there's so much kind of like this cultural aura around it. And not all of it really good. Just kind of one of those things like you have
Different
to.
era.
Yeah, you have to like
Give it an
take a
update.
little bit of a laugh when you do it.
Yeah. That was fun.
Probably won't say it. Haven't seen the
That
first
is for
two.
certain. That is for certain, my friend.
All right, the third trailer that we have is Child's Play. It's Chucky.
The reboot.
This seems like it should have been from like 2007 or something.
It does, doesn't it? And to be honest, I've never seen a Chucky film.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
And I actually have absolutely no
crazy.
interest.
I went
to
through a
see
couple of years back and watched all of them.
Oh, really? Like all of them?
All of them, yeah. Like
What is it,
5,
like 20 of
6,
them?
7 of them. No. And they're all from the one creator. They're all in one continuity. And it's such a fascinating. It's like the fucking perfect, most typical kind of slasher franchise, which is it starts out as a scary movie, and then there's like a sequel, and then there's a third one which starts getting a bit self-referential, and then you get a couple down. It's just like complete parody.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, they did kind of a relaunch of the
The
series,
Sun or something?
Cult of Chucky, which initially seemed kind of like a reboot, but it still had the same kind of Chucky design, the same actor playing Chucky. And then by the end of that film, it tied into the rest of the series in a fucking brilliant way. Very fan-pleasing. And there's been one since then as well that I haven't seen yet. But this is completely unconnected to all of those. It's an absolute reboot. That series is continuing on as a TV series with Don Mancini still as the head of that. But this is a complete change. The original Chucky was a doll possessed by the spirit of a dying criminal. And they have a lot of fun with that conceit. This one is this one's essentially Small Soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except a fucking slasher movie.
Yeah, it's like Furby gone wrong.
Sure, yeah. So it's like evil AI toy. I don't know if there's going to be more to this in the end, but that's the premise we have at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer doesn't have anything.
Yeah,
yet, though.
I mean, as I said, I've never really watched any of the Child's Plays. I've never really had much interest in them, and quite frankly, this doesn't really grab my
Yeah,
interest
it
either.
seems like a step below where Aubrey Plaza should be.
That was another thing that I thought. I thought she was doing well.
This seems like, I don't know, it didn't seem like the kind of role she'd go for typically, but I'm down to see her in a horror. I think she's great, but I don't know, it seemed a bit off to me.
It's also kind of a stark reminder of the endless march of time when you see Aubrey Plaza playing a mother.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Damn, man.
I'm getting old,
Pushing
man.
40, man.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I'll
All right.
not see this.
I'll definitely like to check
All
this
right.
out. I really enjoy that premise.
The moment we've all been waiting for, and you particularly, Ben.
Oh boy.
You get to see me pronounce this. The Curse of La Llorona.
I think you said pronounce.
Did I really?
Pronounce. I really dug this
Llorona,
trailer.
isn't it? Llorona?
La Llorona, yeah. So this movie is so I should have let you off the hook earlier. This movie in Australia is titled The Curse of the Weeping Woman.
Is it really?
It is, yeah. They've changed it for us dumb Australians.
Just Australia.
I hate that shit.
Maybe elsewhere in the world, but
Yeah.
we
definitely Australia.
we don't know what a taco is, mate.
I hate that. Like that. I really hate the fact that with like Harry Potter that they changed it from Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's
Sorcerer's,
Stone,
yeah.
as if like a
That one I
Philosopher's
don't
Stone was
get.
like too much for Americans. Like, I don't know what a jumper is.
And what was that? What was that one? Neighbours, and they couldn't call it Neighbours here. They called
Because
it
we have
Bad
the show
Neighbours.
Neighbours, so it had to be Bad
But everywhere
Neighbours,
else
yeah.
is called Bad Neighbour.
Just Neighbours.
Just Neighbours.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting
There's a
myself
couple of them. Like
confused.
And-
Airplane
it's-
is
no.
called Flying
Yeah,
High
there's a bunch of
here,
those.
and-
The huge one, Avengers.
Yeah.
Was called Avengers Assemble in the UK because of the TV series
show.
Avengers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
weird, man.
So yeah, that's funny. So they can't use the title Avengers Assemble for any movie ever because they've already used it.
Wow.
Anyway, The Curse
Yeah.
of the Weeping Woman.
Really dug this trailer.
It's fun.
I feel though that it's got a lot of lineage in that Controverse vibe.
Yeah.
And
It feels paint by numbers, to
I
be honest.
wonder if this is the first time where I sort of went, I wonder if this Controverse thing needs to we need a fresh.
Need to move on to
We need to
something.
move on to something else. I'm kind of gassing out a little bit. The scares in this, whilst well put together, weren't super effective or inventive.
I've been ready to move on from this ghost house shit for a while now. Not because the movies aren't staying up to that standard, because they mostly are. Some of them, not the Nun. But I just horror. There's so much more you can do with it. I want to go back to the fucking monster movies of the 80s and stuff. But this trailer was well executed. We've watched a couple of trailers for this, and what I found encouraging is that this trailer I don't think featured a single shot from the other ones. So hopefully this movie isn't playing all of its hand.
Yeah,
just nice.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. As I said, it feels a bit paint by numbers. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. It's James Wan, so I mean,
I like in the creature design.
Yeah,
like the little bits there. It looks cool.
All right, on to something that looks far creepier and far more inventive. If we're talking about where horror can go, that's Pet Sematary.
Wow, I already disagree.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said inventive, because it's literally a reboot of a novel,
complete remake,
or a reboot of.
This gave too much away, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm really pumped for this because that original one is fucking creepy, man.
I gotta watch it. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Unsettling, dude. Please message me as soon as you're done.
80s? I kind of want to just.
I think 80s. Yeah, let me look it up now.
I just can't believe I've never seen a movie from more than 10 years ago that I found scary.
It's really fucked up, man.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to watch it.
89.
I trust your opinion a lot.
I just think that I want to approach this with it's already been spoiled quite a bit, but I want to approach this as fresh as I can. Yeah, I get a very super creepy vibe from the trailer. But in terms of I just feel like I want to just straight up,
just super nihilistic, man.
And is this Netflix?
No,
I think it's theatrical.
Is it? Yeah, it's theatrical. Yeah.
It's kind of it's amazing that it's getting to that point where you can't tell just by the quality of something whether it's Netflix or not.
Totally.
You actually have to think, did I see
the quality of a trailer?
Yeah.
The quality of the movie is often telling.
Well, some of them, yeah, but there's some that are just, they very easily could have been put onto theatrical release. Particularly, I think in the last 6 months, we've seen a real kind of swing up in the quality of movies that are coming out on
I'd agree with that.
Netflix. Next up, we have
the finale.
The finale, which is a quick 30-second TV spot for Captain Marvel.
Better. It's harder. Stronger.
I think it's higher, faster.
Nah, man.
Something
This has put me back on the bad side.
Really?
Not bad side, but just really meh.
So what you're saying is you hate women?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I want
I've known
Captain
that
Marvel
about
to be
George
great.
for a long time.
I suspected, but it's good to hear him come out and say it.
What the fuck?
This is all footage we've seen before, except for that last line.
Maybe
wasn't
that's why I didn't like it.
it?
I needed something new.
But I've really kind of liked the tone that they've been setting for this. There's the obvious PR and angle that they're going with, the kind of off the back of Wonder Woman and yay women thing, and obviously they had to go that way because that's the first major female superhero in that universe. But I really like how they're going about it. I like I just like the feel of these trailers, even the 30-second TV spots.
I can't get over how Phase 1 it feels, and maybe that's there's a reason behind that because it's set in the 90s and it's.
I think a big part is they're introducing a new character.
Yeah,
which we don't get much of post Phase 1.
Ant-Man didn't feel like Phase 1 movie. Ant-Man felt fresh. This one, I don't know. Let's see how the end product turns out. But
I think
I'm not G'd on this yet. I want it to be great, but I'm not there yet.
But Ant-Man did feel a little Phase 1.
I disagree. I felt I think it felt evolved. It was
felt
the
like
next...
Iron Man, but funnier.
Yeah.
What I felt watching this, which there was not much to do this little TV spot, but what really occurred to me is that I'm really the trailers are not giving much indication of this character of Captain Marvel and her personality. And I think maybe I'm being a bit tough on this because it is an introduction of a new character. So it's someone, I haven't seen before in other movies. But I don't know. These movies, they do a lot to sell the premise, and Nick Fury's there, and all these other things as aliens.
You
as
don't get that
explosions.
much dialogue from
But
her.
you don't see much from her at all. And I really hope, like, if they can nail her as a character, I think this whole thing will be able to work.
Yeah.
So I
I think that's one of the major concerns. Like, it just kind of, when you started saying that, all I could think of was, as I said, obviously they're going with the PR and all that, kind of the off the tails of Wonder Woman. I really hope that they don't just rely on that kind of surface PR side to make this movie successful. I really hope that they do invest in that character and they make.
I think they will.
If she's just,
I
but
hope
if
they
she's
are.
if she's just another quippy badass, then
Yeah.
I'm like, we've already got 12 of those in the MCU. We like something a bit different would be really cool.
I really agree. And suddenly all I'm thinking of is King Kong and the lifeless, terrible character that she played in that. I really like. There's no reason to think that would happen again. But
Yeah. Fuck. Let's cap things off with question of the week. Guys, don't forget, you can send us a question via the Facebook.
Anything.
Via the Instagram.
We'll answer anything.
Via the email. Via the YouTube. We got an awesome question here from KT. Thanks for the question. Do you think Shazam will do better than Aquaman or be a flop like Justice League? And is there a reason why both Captain Marvels are coming out so close together? Awesome question there. So this is in two parts. Let's answer the first part. Do you think Shazam will do better than Aquaman or be a flop? I don't think it's going to do either. I think it's going to do worse in terms of box office haul than Aquaman. And I don't think, if we're talking critically a flop, I don't think it's going to be a flop like Justice League.
Yeah, I can't. Just thinking about this, I don't think I can really pick exactly why Aquaman was as successful as it was. I know it did super well.
Star Wars did not eat in. Okay, Force Awakens, December. The next one, December. The third one, December. Solo, May.
Yeah.
They completely vacated December, and I truly believe
it filled that.
They filled that. They filled it.
And it was the right type of blockbuster to do so, I guess.
It was kind of like the stars kind of aligned for them.
It really overperformed in foreign markets, that one. Shazam, I have no way it can do as well as that.
No.
I can imagine that doing well in China.
But I can imagine it really catching on if it's good enough. Because the premise is such a good hook.
I don't think it'll hit the perfect storm that Aquaman
for sure
hit. I think that it'll do better financially than Justice League, because how could it not?
So it's going to be, that means like 800 million.
What did Justice League hit?
Justice League was in the sixes.
I thought it was
750.
Yeah.
Was it? No, it wasn't 750.
Yeah,
surely.
It was terrible. Let's have a look.
No, I thought it did worse than that.
No, I think internet's back on.
I wouldn't be surprised at seeing it do better than Justice League.
Yeah, I think financially
not
it
a high
could
bar.
do
And it
as-
definitely had a smaller budget by an insane amount. Because
I
Justice
thought it was
League,
like 5.7.
Yeah, I was sure that
Wow, it didn't even hit 700.
Yeah.
and Justice League was shot
Crazy.
twice, so that probably cost like $400 million.
Yeah.
To
It's
make.
at
So I think
350
that it
just
could do
then.
financially better, but it won't do as financially good as Aquaman. I think that's a perfect storm. In terms of it being, I think it could be a better movie than both Aquaman and obviously Justice League.
I'll be disappointed if it's not.
Seriously, but and
Yeah,
having
it's
said that,
got
I
everything
don't,
working
I
towards
don't
it.
hold Aquaman as like this really great film. I think it's an adequate film that was fun, but I think that this has the ability to be everything that Aquaman was and more, in terms of just like kind of critically looking at the film. Yeah, and the other one, and I really like the second part of this question, because they recognize that it's two Captain Marvels. I think that's very clever.
Yeah, because we're all clued into comic books and stuff, So I get it.
We've explained this ad nauseum. Shazam, the character, was previously known as Captain Marvel. He was
Shazam is the wizard that gives him his power, isn't it?
Yes, and he was named as such in the 30s before Marvel, the comics company, even existed. And there was just a decades-long legal dispute over who could use his character. Marvel created their own Captain Marvel. DC was only allowed to market the brand as Shazam, but the character was still called Captain Marvel until just a few years ago. So it's honestly amazing that these are both coming out within like a month of each other.
Nuts.
It's kind of spectacular.
Two Captain Marvels, yeah.
I think I think it's just coincidence.
Yes, to an extent, DC and Marvel have such a long history of cribbing off each other. One would create a character, and a comparative character would just spring up shortly after in the other side. Like we've got Deathstroke and Deadpool. Deadpool is just a parody of Deathstroke, essentially. One's called Wade Wilson, one's called Slade Wilson. But nobody knows Deathstroke now in the general public. Deadpool's a huge thing. But of course, he came first, Deathstroke. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some inkling of, presumably Marvel announced this a long time before. Like there was a huge lead time on all these movies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if DC was like, hey, let's just do ours as well. Because it is a weird pick for a movie for them.
Yeah.
Before there's a Man of Steel 2 or anything.
I just think it's cool that we're in this era where Captain Marvel is getting a movie. Like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have fucking thought?
Oh, you say that, but Howard the Duck got one in the 80s. Blade got one before the X-Men, before Spider-Man. Before,
You're undoing my whole argument.
It's funny. We kind of worked through the weird period when no one could commit to doing a major character. And then we went through that used all the huge characters. Now we're kind of moving into the weird ones again.
But the demand is there as well. Like Howard the Duck, comic book movies weren't where they're at now.
They just announced a new Howard the Duck series as well for Hulu.
Fuck off.
Is there anything else that you'd like unraveled by Ben there, George?
And there we have it. Another episode of the Weekly Show done. Guys, go check out our Lego movie review. I don't know what the hell
would you like
happened
to
there.
correct the pronunciation?
We'll see you next week for
Pronunciation.
episode 200. Listen, we're going to be doing some crazy stuff. Like crazy. It's going to be nuts.
Crazy.
Connor, get ready for it. You are going down. I don't know what's happening. I'm just trying to scare you. See you, Benny.
Bye.
Say goodbye.
Fuck yeah.
You will next week.
La Llorona.
It's exactly how it's spelled. Just replace the two L's with a Y.
La Llorona.
That's it.
Yep.
Fucking nailed it.
Nailed it.
First try.
Headshot. I like it a lot.
Kate Tunstall.
Brought to you by Coors.
Suddenly I see. This is what I want to be.
Okay, no, there's a story here. How do you know fucking Suddenly I See by KT Tunstall?
I have no fucking... That literally just came from the archives. Like...
Just like ran through a whole bunch of death metal. It's like, I'm here.
I've got this all. I've got all of this.